Ladies and gentle raws, welcome to Jotun. No, not Jotun. Jotun. Developed by Thunder Lotus Games and released not too long ago in September 2015, I actually acquired this game through a Humblebundle monthly. I think it was the January bundle. I had never heard of this game until that moment. The settings are, well, pretty basic. Gamepad controls are really simple. There's not really much to look at here overall. Then you have the keyboard, which is pretty simple and very easy to bind. Nothing much more you could want to do with this here though. Audio settings are again very simple, however don't rely on the sliders whatsoever. If you turn down the master volume, it will still deafen you at moments in the game. It's better to just keep the master slider on max level and lower the volume in the Windows sound panel instead. And to the video settings, there's not much here either. VSync is basically on or off. Screen mode will switch between full and windowed mode. Texture quality differs between low and high. There is no middle ground there. And resolution is supported up to a really high rate. Not sure why, because the game feels, well, a little bit odd at times, as you will soon discover. So, we have the WSD keys again to move about, which is, I think, pretty standard for PC gaming these days. The left mouse button will swing the axe quickly. The right mouse button will lock you in place for a powerful attack which deals quite a lot of damage compared to the normal swing. Your spacebar by default will let you roll about to evade things. Something I discovered early in the game was the camera. It can be quite annoying. It does these weird slow panning motions that just irritate you sometimes. It's not bad enough to write the game off, but it can really be annoying when you're wandering from what feels like scene to scene. As you can see graphically, this is hand drawn, and I do love that art style. It's extremely well done, and I can see this game aging pretty well due to the style it is delivered in. The soundtrack is excellent. It's another game that will rank highly due to the graphical nature and the pleasant soundtrack that accompanies it. It's not as good as Bastion's soundtrack. I think that's hard to top, however. But it's certainly up there with some of the better soundtracks in games I have had the pleasure to listen to. Now, after playing this for about an hour or so, the gameplay will start to grind on you. It's pretty repetitive at times. Firstly, when you're thrown into the game, there is no real indication of where you're supposed to go. I think I got lucky in discovering it fairly quickly, and I no doubt missed some hidden things along the way. But yeah, sadly, it can quickly become tedious and a little bit dull. I wasn't lucky enough to discover the actual god powers that are somewhere in the game. The best I had was a self-heal, but swinging the axe about for everything, and I do mean interacting with everything, can quickly become quite dull and sadly mind-numbing. The game being based on Norse mythological settings is brilliant. Having always been a fan of that particular course of mythology, it's excellently played out in the game. There is a story in the game that you will uncover the more you play. The story, however, isn't exactly obvious when you start the game. Like I said, I had no bloody idea what I was doing when I started. The major part of this game, I feel, are the boss fights, which are relatively difficult. I died several times on the first boss, and then on the second boss when I encountered that one. So there is a challenge in the game, providing you can get through the somewhat duller parts of it. So, let's talk pricing. Right now, this game you can pick up for $10.99, which I simply, sadly, cannot justify. While the soundtrack and art style is certainly beautiful, the gameplay itself can be very, very dull. It just feels like they sadly missed a great opportunity here for me with the gameplay, or I guess lack of. Again, you can purchase the soundtrack separately, but for $6.99. And no, sadly, it's not worth that. It's great, but it's not $6.99 great. Half the price maybe, and I might actually be tempted because it is a really great soundtrack. It's another one of those that I wish they bundled for the actual game price. I think having the soundtrack and the game for $10.99, you could maybe say okay to. If you do love Norse mythology and you see this one on sale, it's definitely something you should check out. I think I will likely go back to this myself to see if there's anything more in the game to discover, and the central theme being something that I do warm towards anyway. But full price for this one is sadly one to avoid, in my opinion. The lack of actual gameplay does hurt this game. So, there you have it. Jotun. Norse mythology lovers might see the sparkle in the muck here. I think a casual everyday gamer will look at this and be bored of it relatively quickly. Give us a like, share and subscribe if you found this video useful. There is also a dislike button for the followers of the Nordic underworld next to it, if you are so inclined. I've been Wolf, and I'll see you again next time.